Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Overleveled podcast.
Yeah!
Almost forgot the name of my own fucking show.
Love that. Favorite bit.
Yeah. So we got some stuff going on in the news department. Before we get into our big fat Chrono Trigger discussion,
So chunky.
we got some news that we wanna talk about. Yeah, news. Before we get into news, though, is there how you doing?
I'm doing a-okay,
Wait,
Gavin. How you doing?
Doing all right. We talked a little bit before we started recording, but just in case the audience was wondering how DJ's doing, this is your chance to tell them.
There's your update, guys.
Yeah.
I'm doing a-okay.
Nice. Yeah, little depressed?
No? You?
Oh, okay. Always, bro.
Hell yeah.
Oh, okay. So I mentioned this to you right before we had started. Sorry if you can hear my baby screaming in the background. My wife is so graciously letting me do this right now while she takes care of a baby who should be going to sleep right now. Anyway, so I talked to DJ about this right before we started recording. But as far as news goes, Nintendo just moments before we were recording this today, announced their new OLED Nintendo Switch console, which I guess, yeah,
I guess.
I think the dock looks kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I agree.
It's got these rounded edges and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. For me, it's not necessarily something that I would buy.
Same. I
Mostly
agree.
because I just don't play in handheld mode. So, I mean, I don't know. It's not even really... I have the specs kind of pulled up here, too. So this new OLED Switch is 0.8 inches larger than the original Nintendo Switch. The resolution is unchanged. It's 720p handheld and 1080p docked. The storage that it comes with is 64 gigs, where the original Switch is 32. So it is a storage upgrade, but again, for someone like me, I went ahead and purchased a SIM card, or some expandable storage for my Switch. The chipset inside of it is the custom NVIDIA Tegra X1, which is the exact same thing as the Nintendo Switch, so no change there. The battery life is the exact same. As far as the connection ports, it has a LAN cable, which is cool,
Yeah.
but it's only cool if you're online gaming,
Right.
and realistically, I'm not using my Nintendo Switch for the online games that I play.
Yeah.
Not because of the connectivity issue, but that's just the first thing I think of with Nintendo is not online multiplayer.
Yeah.
But for some people who do play stuff I guess what's the Squid game?
Splatoon.
Yeah, for people who are into Splatoon, that's cool, I guess.
That's cool.
And it's just a little heavier than the original Nintendo Switch. Still not even weighing a pound, but heavier. And then I guess the other thing too is that it comes with, I guess, enhanced speakers on it.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
And it's got
That's
this big stand, a huge adjustable stand in the back of it.
Yeah, after seeing that, it makes me wonder why the hell they didn't do that in the first place.
Well, even so, I agree. I feel like it's better. It's obviously better than the little the stand that we got. But what I still don't understand is why have they not moved the charging port to the top of the Switch already? The charging port is still on the bottom, so even if you have it sitting up somewhere, you can't charge it while you're playing it,
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's if you're sitting in bed or something and you're holding your Switch, you can have your charger right next to it, and you're still able to play the game and charge it. You just can't have it be standing up, which is I don't know. The whole stand thing is just kind of interesting to me because it's on the one hand, it's okay, cool, bigger stand, and you can adjust it and make it go back even further. But the Nintendo Switch has been out for so long already. I feel like people who want that already got, those like third-party Switch stands that let them do that sort of thing.
Right.
And then on top of all that, the other thing is just the OLED screen, which really only matters if you care about the colors. And yeah, I mean, other than that, it's the same old Switch, just a little
same
bit,
old, same.
a little bigger. I think, and I was telling you too, I think a lot of people are messed up about this because for a long time the rumors were pointing to a much more powerful Switch, that'll do like 4K and stuff like that, like in docked mode, which would be cool. I would love to. I don't know. Maybe they'll still plan on doing this with the next Zelda game. Like maybe hopes aren't completely, dead yet. But to play some of the games that I do have just in higher resolution on my TV would be awesome.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So that's basically it as far as the biggest thing that has happened today.
Right.
But other than that, some other just kind of news around RPGs and stuff. The Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster has some updated news. Final Fantasy 1 through 3 are going to be coming out this month in July. Yeah, I think July 29th, you can get Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3. And each of them, or Final Fantasy 1 and 2 are both priced at like $12 each. And then 3 will be $18. It's interesting because I initially figured it'll just be like a big package. Like I was thinking like maybe $30 or $40 package for all of these games, but nope. I think on Steam, if you want to buy them as a package, it's like on sale for like $70. And I'm like, gosh, for these games that have been out for years. I mean,
yeah, that's a no for me.
I still am just of the mindset of this would be received much better if it was just also released on console. Like, even if they still wanted to release these games separately, they could still, I don't know, just put them on console. God. Yeah, so there's that. I think they're releasing 4 through 6 sometime later on, either later on this year or early next year. I can't remember. 1 through 3 Pixel Remaster. You can get that later on this month. Whoopee. They announced a bunch of Legend of Heroes games, like the Trails games. I think 1 or 2 of them is like a brand new game, but the other ones are English ports of games that were only available in Japan, but they're finally coming to America. Trails from Zero, Trails to Azure, The Legend of Nayuta, Boundless Trails, and The Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie. They had a big Nihon Falcom 40th anniversary event, and they announced a bunch of games, so that's kind of cool.
That's cool.
The Legend of Mana is finally out, like the remaster or remake or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it's really just a remaster. It's pretty much the same game as the PlayStation 1 game. I guess you've never played the original one, have you?
No, I've not, no.
I think the Mana series is another one that I've always been attracted to, but I've never really played any of them. Maybe one day.
One day.
The World Ends With You is coming out later on this month, and there's currently a demo out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've just specifically been like, I'm not going to play the demo. I'm just going to... I've heard some good things about it already, like from people who have gotten early, hands on it pretty early. So, and I think even regardless, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to pre-order it, but whenever I can, I'm going to get the game, without,
definitely.
Without playing the demo yet or anything, just because, that's what I was going to do anyways. Like the sequel to one of my favorite games. Like, yeah, of course I'm going to get the sequel.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, that's coming out later on this month. Yes. Yeah, comes out what is it? July 27th, yeah. Disgaea 6 is out.
Wait, shit, it is?
I think so. Yeah, it is. Came out last week. you look.
Oh, wait. Oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah. I remember saving this one towards the end just because I was like, I know DJ might want to talk about this because I'm sure he's got it, but.
Oof. Oh, I totally forgot. Well, you can better believe I'm going to get that.
Yeah. Is it only available for Nintendo Switch?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So from what I hear, it is not like optimized for Nintendo Switch.
Oh, really?
Like I hear like it's fine if you're a fan of the Disgaea series and you're ready for Disgaea 6. It's like you'll probably enjoy it. It's probably not going to be the best one in the series for you, but as far as like it being a Switch exclusive is apparently really unfortunate because apparently it doesn't run very good on the Switch at all. So.
Oh, wow.
Yikes. Yeah. But
I
hey.
mean, interesting because that's weird because, yeah, for us in America, it's only available on the Switch, but in Japan, it's the PlayStation 4 and the Switch.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So
yeah,
I
I mean,
why.
It'll probably come to PS4 and PC or something like
Right.
Hopefully before the end of the year or something, but yeah, that's pretty unfortunate.
I honestly might buy it tomorrow when I get
paid. Yeah, do it, man. Don't listen to the negative reviews, man.
No, because I did hear a lot of bad things about it just from because I think I remember I talked about it last episode is that they did get rid of a lot of staples from the previous Disgaea series, but I'll still play it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, it's like you played 1 through 5. Why wouldn't you play 6?
Might as well. Yeah.
Scarlet Nexus is also out. It's actually been out a little longer. It came out on June 24th, and I actually got this game. Ooh. And it's really fun. It's like a very fun game. It also is like visually very stunning. But we're not here for that. We're here for Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
But also, before we get to Chrono Trigger, we're going to do some question of the week stuff.
Actually, before we finish moving from the news section, I have a little news thingy.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
less so about sort of like what's going on in the JRPG world, sort of like more of what I've acquired from the JRPG world. So, yesterday, I went to GameStop and I bought 2 particular JRPGs. The first one, have you heard of the game Indivisible for the Switch?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
I bought that because I remember I played the demo of it, and the demo was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I played the demo.
So I bought the full game. I'm excited for that. And the big game that I bought that I didn't expect to see at GameStop at all was Nier Replicant.
Oh, shit.
So I am very excited to eventually play that.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, man. That's been the one that I've kept on my wish list. Like I have it on my wish list for PS4 and PC because I'm just like, I don't care what I get it on. I just whenever I can get it, I'm gonna get it.
Right, definitely.
Nice, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so question of the week. Oh God, sorry. I felt like I have a new question of the week that I would like to ask after this one. Realistically, I wish I asked the new one this last week because it pertains more to our Chrono Trigger discussion. But last week we were fucking reaching, like we were just scrambling and reaching for shit. So okay, so question of the week at our last episode. I'll just be reading the ones that are here in our Discord. So thank you to 1 Pint Ones. Homie, just like if you're listening, dog, just like I don't know, please. Like just spell it out like piece by piece for me. No, it's still no shade on your name. I just don't know how the fuck to pronounce it.
Right.
So I'm gonna call you 1 Pint Ones. Okay, so 1 Pint One says Velvet Crow from Tales of Berseria. And he provided a very sleek JPEG, a glossy JPEG.
Yummy, yummy.
Yummy, yummy. So I have not played much of the Tales games, but I think I do have Berseria on my PS4. I just haven't gotten playing it. Because I'm pretty sure that one's connected to the Zestiria games. I'm not sure. I'm whenever I play games, I'm super into like, oh, if there's like multiple in the series, I'm like, is there a timeline? Is there a correct way to play these games?
Right.
Which is kind of a big reason why I like don't get around to playing a lot of games, because I spend so much time like stressing out like what's the best way to play these games. It's kind of like whenever
way.
Yeah, it's like whenever you're on Netflix or on YouTube or just browsing the PlayStation Store or like your video game library. It's like whenever you get so overwhelmed with just seeing all of the choices, you end up spending like the amount of time that you could have been playing a video game. You spend that much time just trying to fucking find out what game you're going to play, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Gosh. Anyways, that's how I feel about the Tales games. It's like it's always there. It's something I want to play, but there's always other things too. Anyways.
Right.
Carrison Ford says, this is so basic, and Gavin even said it, but yeah, probably Aqua from Kingdom Hearts. I mean, she's just a well-written character with an amazing arc, and I'm hyped to see what she does in the future. Either that or Aerith from Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, I know, I've only played like 3 games. Rip. What you gonna do? Laughing, crying, emoji. Carrison Ford, I'm gonna have to completely agree with you that one. Aqua is waifu for laifu. So I just said that.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, oh, those are words that came out of your mouth.
Yeah, I said waifu for laifu.
Hey, I agree.
Yeah.
Aqua's tight.
It's funny, too, because my wife kind of has... she gave herself bangs a little while ago, and they look good. And the way that she will sometimes style her hair, she kind of has the same hairstyle and same hair color as, like, Final Fantasy VII Remake Aerith. And she likes that game too. Like, she liked watching me playing it whenever it came out and all that. So it's funny because she'll just be like, "Do I look like Aerith?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, you definitely do. Very nice." DJ, who's your waifu for laifu?
So, this is a temporary waifu for laifu because, surprise, surprise, that's not something I think about. But because I don't even have like a waifu for laifu for anime, and you think as someone who watches anime as much as I do, I would have one. But
yeah, I'm a little shocked at that. What the heck, bro?
Yeah, I know. It's very disappointing in me. If I had a girlfriend, she'd be disappointed in me too.
Of course.
She'd be like, "Why'd you have a waifu?" But
we're breaking up. God.
That's fair. But so my choice is going to be related to the game that we're going to talk about. Chrono Trigger, to sort of like put me in direction of like, who's my waifu?
Okay.
And probably, if she never talked, would be Alia. I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Ayla?
Ayla, yeah.
Ayla?
Ayla. The cave girl
woman.
Bitch.
Yeah.
The cave woman, yeah.
Oof. Bro.
That would be mine.
Not gonna lie, dude. I was playing this game yesterday, and like, it got to that point in the game where you can kind of just like play, like you can choose whatever team, like you can even take Chrono out of your team and all that. Shit, man, I was watching her run around like a fucking feral animal.
Yeah, that kind of gets you.
Anyways. Yeah, man, good one.
Thanks.
I think Tifa Lockhart, man, has been a character, like, she's been like a fictional character kind of in my life since I started playing video games, or at least since I like was into video games and like was in like 5th grade and stuff and was like playing like Kingdom Hearts and shit like that. Like Tifa has kind of always been there. And I remember like Advent Children came out, and I remember watching, just seeing her in there and all that. And I just remember thinking like, wow, she's so badass. She's so cool. So probably one of the more basic ones, but man, just can't go wrong with Tifa.
I mean, it might be a basic choice, but it's a solid choice.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so don't feel down, Carrison Ford, for choosing Aqua. Just because it's basic doesn't mean it's bad, okay?
Yeah, put that on a shirt.
Just because your waifu is basic doesn't mean it's a bad waifu.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know why we fucking chose that.
Said by Sun Tzu. I don't know.
Anyways, that was question of the week.
There you go.
If you wanna answer question of the week, you're more than welcome to always answer on the YouTube channel or in the Discord, or I'll ask it on Twitter or something like that.
On Snapchat.
Yeah, Snapchat. Add me on the Snap. But yeah, so this week's question of the week it's kind of a broad question, but it's more just along the lines of like, who's your favorite character in Chrono Trigger / like what is your 3-person dream team in Chrono Trigger? Just kind of like all around favorite characters or character in Chrono Trigger. Yeah, so next week we'll answer that one. But since we're talking about Chrono Trigger right now, let's just jump right into this and start talking about Le Chrono Trigger.
Fancy.
I know. Okay, so Chrono Trigger. It's a good game.
Yeah, it's all right. Bye.
Yeah, it's a good game. Thanks for listening to this long-awaited episode. So Chrono Trigger came out in 1995, right?
God damn.
Yeah. So this was one of the last games to come out right before the PlayStation was coming out. Like, I think it was something like a week or a few weeks or a month or something like that after this game came out, the PlayStation came out. So people were already pre-ordered, locked in and stuff, and upon release, I make no mistake, it made good money. But at the time, I think the release of the PlayStation was a big overarching shadow over the sales of Chrono Trigger. And nonetheless, the game still sold very well, especially at the fact DJ, if you could guess how expensive this game was when it came out, what would you guess?
$60.
Chrono Trigger cost $80 when it came out.
Oh God.
As did a bunch of Super Nintendo games.
Why?
And
Fuck.
yeah, I know, $80 for this thing, dude. And now it's on everything modern that it's released on, it's at most 15 or $20 or something. But
Yeah.
at the time of release in 1995, this as a brand new video game was $80. And that's just so interesting to me because there's so many people who are so up in arms about next generation games today going up in price, being $70.
Yeah.
And it's like, guys, you guys obviously don't remember how fucking expensive old games were, because they were not cheap. like the PS2 dropped at $600. And money back then, even just in the early 2000s, money was more expensive back then,
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind of one piece of history about this game that I think is so interesting. I think so many people, myself included, I look at we have websites now, howlongtobeat.com. So before you even buy a game, you can see how long the story is, and you're am I going to drop $60 on a game that's going to take me 5 hours to beat? And for the most part, the answer is kind of no. I'm going to wait for a sale or something like that. Granted, today, whenever we play Chrono Trigger now, it's we're playing them. We're playing it way cheaper than it was when it came out. But even still, it's man, what an expensive game.
I know.
Yeah. This game was developed by Square at the time, dubbed this team the Dream Team. And
Dream Team.
This team, and it really is the Dream Team, because it's you hear these names. All of the names tied to this have left such a huge legacy today, and even at the time, they all were big names at the time. Hironobu Sakaguchi, who, we all know from Final Fantasy. So
that's my boy.
That's our boy. We got Yuji Horii. He is still to this day the director and scenario writer and designer for all of the Dragon Quest games.
You go, Yuji.
Yeah,
Hell
he's fucking killing it. And I think that, I mean, we'll talk about Dragon Quest in later episodes and stuff, but I feel like the consistency that Dragon Quest has seen from the start till right now has been one of the things that people still look at as just like, man, this is why I've always loved Dragon Quest. This is why I'll always love Dragon Quest. Like, Final Fantasy has gone through so many changes, changing directors, changing writers, design artists, and stuff. Dragon Quest has stayed the same pretty much, like, since the beginning. Even, you know, like how we're saying Yuji Horii, from the beginning, still now, fucking just banger after banger with the Dragon Quest series. Then we got Akira Toriyama.
Oh, the guy.
The guy. I think DJ probably, I don't know how into Dragon Ball. I mean, I think I read a little bit of the first Dragon Ball manga and maybe watched the first couple of episodes maybe like 10 years ago. But I had friends who were huge into Dragon Ball.
Well, I mean, I definitely grew up with it. It was definitely one of the gateway anime for me. But me now, it's just sort of like, it still holds a place in my heart. But like, I tell myself multiple times, like, I'm probably never ever gonna rewatch Dragon Ball Z ever again.
Yeah, I mean, it's a monster of a show. Like Dragon Ball and One Piece, man. Like, they're these like Goliaths in the anime like world. Mm-hmm. They just go on forever. But yeah, Akira Toriyama.
Well, it's not even that. It's just not good.
Yeah, I mean, well, I remember. I think I watched a little bit of what was the show, like the show that came out after one of those movies. It was like Dragon Ball Super.
Oh, Dragon Ball Super? Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that one was pretty good for a while, but I don't know. I'm not. I would not be the person to like discuss Dragon Ball like that, you know. Yeah, so, you know, the art director of Chrono Trigger is Akira Toriyama.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so whenever you look at the box art for the game, or if you're even just looking at the sprites of the game, there's that obvious charm. Like, you'll see alien creatures that looked, you know, very similar to just that art style that you would see in a show like Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z. Even in the, what's it called? Like, if you're playing the PlayStation version or the Nintendo DS version or the PC and mobile version of Chrono Trigger, Akira Toriyama even directed all of those like anime cutscenes that we see added into the newer versions.
Hell yeah!
So those all look fantastic.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like whether you're like a purist of the original one without all of the added cutscenes and stuff, or you're playing, you know, the new ones. I feel like there's just no denying the fact that these cutscenes look fucking cool.
Oh, 100%. I agree.
And there's one scene in particular that I think really sucked me into Chrono Trigger whenever I was first playing it. We'll talk about it later, but the art style is really good. I could not see this game happening in any other art style. Okay, then we got Masato Kato, and I'm not like super familiar with everything that he's worked on, but he also directed the like the sequel to this game called Radical Dreamers. He directed Xenogears and Chrono Cross and Final Fantasy XI and some parts of Final Fantasy VII. So he wrote kind of like the main story to this game. He obviously has some stuff under his belt. Like, he's a good storyteller. And then as far as the music goes, the music was done by a man named Yosunori Matsuda. Yosunori Matsuda, I think this man is one of the most, like, I guess, juiciest pieces of the whole history of this game, in my opinion. He had some help with Nobuo Uematsu, obviously from Final Fantasy composing, like from the first game through the 9th game, and some of the later games as well. But for the most part, Yosunori Matsuda did like 90% of all the tracks in here. There's like a very small handful of tracks in here that he did with Nobuo Uematsu. Yosunori Mitsuda, he went up to Hironobu Sakaguchi and was basically like, look, man, like, I want to write music. This is what I do. Like, I'm a music composer. I have songs, like, I have ideas. Like, please, like, let me like run this. Like, let me run the music in this game, or I'm walking out. And so Hironobu Sakaguchi straight up was like, okay, then the job is yours. Like, you got it. Like, go ahead, go crazy. And one of the first nights that he was working on music, he basically stayed up all night, but from the time he woke up in the morning to the time that he went to sleep, he wrote the entire like opening song, like he wrote that entire thing just in one sitting, all by himself. And yeah, nice. Like so much of the music in this game has such a unique sound to it.
Definitely.
I don't know, man. Like, this is another situation that I feel is similar to that feeling that you get whenever you're just so overwhelmed with all of the choices in front of you. You lose track of what you're doing, and you end up wasting time just thinking about all of the games that you want to play. This is kind of how I feel with like talking about the music to this game. Like, there's so many bangers in this game. Thinking about the guy who wrote all these songs and stuff, I don't even know what to say, you know?
Right.
That's been one of the big things that I've just been thinking about since trying to come up with things to talk about with this video game. It's just like, I just have nothing but positive feelings about this game. I have like very little critiques with this game.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of some of the development history of this game. Like, all of these people, they came together. I think there was a point where Mitsuda was kind of going through some writer's block, and he was, he wasn't getting enough sleep and all this stuff. And there was a lot of music that were on some flash drives that were like lost, like, and never to be like seen again. And that's whenever things started getting like really crazy as far as the development goes. And that's whenever they brought in Nobuo Uematsu to basically take Mitsuda and be like, hey man, like, I got you, let's do this together. And they wrote a couple more songs for the game, and they're all fucking phenomenal. So that's kind of just like some development history stuff. I guess before we go into kind of like talking about the story and all of that, how about you kind of walk us through, I guess, just how the game plays?
So the gameplay is pretty much like active time battle system, where pretty much the next evolution of typical turn-based. Where in a turn-based game, it's based, each person takes their turn. Like, all your characters take their turns doing their moves, and then after you do that, then the enemies take their turns doing their moves. And sometimes that's based on like how fast your character is, whether your character is faster than the enemy or not. In active time battle, it's more based on time, where still speed of just like which character is faster and like, the time gauge going, but things sort of like happen in real time, I guess, where like even as you're sort of picking your move, your enemy can also sort of hit you and stuff like that. And so it's kind of like that. And you have a party of 3, and you're able to, after a certain point, you're able to choose how you want. And as you mentioned, how like you get to a certain point where you can even take out Chrono from your party, which is also, when I think about it more, that's really cool, because last couple of JRPGs that I played, like Final Fantasy VIII and stuff like that, like, you always have to have the main character in your party, regardless of whoever you choose.
Right.
So it's nice that Chrono Trigger gives you the option to just choose whoever you want. And so I really like that. And you have all these different techniques and spells and stuff like that. Magic you get a little bit later in the game, because it's more like overpowered, so it takes a little while for you to get that, but you eventually get it. And each character has like certain magic they can use. Like Chrono can use thunder spells. Right. The princess girl, I forgot her name off the top of my head. Marl, yeah, she can use water, I think, or ice.
Like ice.
Yeah, ice. Frog can use water. Yeah, Frog is water. But there are also characters like Robo and Aelia who can't use magic at all. which is stupid. But
I think Robo's kind of magic was like the shadow magic, because I remember whenever you go to what's it called? Because you gain the magic whenever you go your first like visit to the end of time, and you walk through that door, and then the guy who's like, hey, you're way too fucking weak to beat Lavos, so I'm gonna help train you guys into like learning how to beat Lavos. And so he assigns you, or like he tells you what your elemental power is or whatever. And I think Robo even says something about the fact that like he can't use magic because he's not an organic being. But then the guy is like, well, your system is essentially the equivalent of like shadow magic. And so
yeah, looking at the wiki right now, yeah, it says that like his attacks are similar to shadow magic. Yeah. Okay, tight. But yeah, each character can like use different magic. They all have special weapons they can use, and you sort of go around the overworld and fight a bunch of enemies. And it's cool how there's no random battles where you just walk around and like takes you to a different location and you fight enemies. It's like they're on the map, so you can decide whether to fight them or not. Which is the more and more that I deal with stuff like that, the more and more I really like that.
Yes.
over random battles
for sure.
Yeah.
I think as you get like towards the end of the game and like you're going through dungeons, there are more spots where it's like no matter where you step, there's just going to be like a scripted battle in that spot.
That's true.
But there's no, like you said, there's no like randomness. Like it's always either you can avoid it or it's a scripted like block that you step on,
Yeah, that's true. Plus, I mean, like a lot of the battles, especially just regular enemies, they don't take that long, honestly. I mean, sometimes they can be annoying, but they don't take that long.
Yeah. I would say the longest thing about the battles is just kind of like watching everybody's animations as they
that's true.
do their like dual text and their tri-text and stuff like that. But realistically, I guess also just going into the more development side of this, like they spent so much time and effort into like designing hundreds of different animations for every single character. And it's like they all look amazing. There's not like I mean, sure, it's like, okay, yeah, I love using this tech, so I'm going to use it all the time. And it gets to a point where you're like, okay, just get through it. But at the same time, it's like none of them look bad at all. I love watching all of them.
Definitely. And yeah, like you said with the dual text and the triple text, like it's really cool how different combinations have like different sort of techniques. Like you can do Frog and Robo for one for a dual technique, and then Luca and the shadow guy. I can't remember his name.
Magus or Magus.
Yeah, Magus. Whatever. It's like it's really cool. There's different combinations, so like you can really, in a way, it kind of gives it its own sense of like replayability. Like you can just do one playthrough with like, I'm gonna do Robo, Chrono, and Frog this playthrough, and then next playthrough is like, I want to do Luca, Ayla, and Magus for some reason.
Yeah,
it's like different combinations, which is really cool. And then all the different bosses have sort of their own unique gimmick of how you can beat them, which I really like. So it adds a lot of variety to it, where it's not just like they're just a bunch of beat sticks. You just gotta whack them. You gotta like really think about the strategy and stuff, which is cool. But yeah, that's pretty much the gameplay of Chrono Trigger. Pretty solid shit.
Yeah. One of the big things that this game, I guess just to kind of continue talking about some of the gameplay, a huge portion of this game is centered around the idea of time travel. There's 65 million BC. There's 12,000 BC. There's 1000 AD, the end of time, 600 AD, 1999 AD, and 2300 AD. Those are all out of order, but I was just trying to think, because let's see how many of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7. This is kind of what I was getting at. There's 7 like time eras that you can kind of jump through, and each era that you go to, it's all in the same world, right?
Yeah.
Other than the end of time, it's like one small little like room essentially.
It's like your base, sort of.
Yeah, like home base. So all of these locations are all taking place in the same world. So whenever you go to like 65 million BC, and then you go to like 12,000 BC, or even just like, I don't know, the present day, it's pretty clear, especially if you're looking at the maps. It's pretty clear that you're going to pretty much all of the same locations, just at different points in time.
Yeah.
And later on in the game, you have access to a ship that allows you to just freely jump from any point in time that you want. So you can do as much exploring as you want and doing as many side quests as you want. And I think another thing about this game in general is just the way that they handle side quests. I feel like it's just so nice that all of these side quests they're just so focused, you know? I feel like so many side quests and RPGs ask you to do like puzzles and stuff. I think in the Nintendo DS version or in the Steam version, there's one specific quest that's just nothing but fetch quest, fetch quest, fetch quest. You know, that can be annoying, but you know, that was added later on, and it's only one side quest, whereas I feel most RPGs nowadays in particular are most of their side quests are just filled with that, oh, just go bring me this item so I can craft you this item that's stronger so that you can kill this boss who will give you this item so that I can craft you like your ultimate weapon or something. And it's just like fetch quest and fetch quest. But
very uninspired.
Yeah, I mean, but other than that, like all of these, they're so focused. Every side quest that you do, especially like whenever you are able to do them a little over halfway in the game, they pretty much all end up just wrapping up the end of a character's story, which is really nice. It's like, I think my favorite side quest, I don't know how many side quests you did, but for me, my favorite side quest was whenever you go into the like that sand vortex, and you go down into the sand, and you kill like a huge monster who's been like destroying all of the trees or something like that. And so
right.
Yeah. And so then you go back up, and then that lady's like, only if we had like a machine that could like preserve like the ground over here. And then you like basically offer, or Robo is like, I can do that or whatever. So then you offer Robo to help out, and then you travel way out into the future, and then you see this like rusted Robo that's kind of like at this altar. And it's very interesting like what happens afterwards. I wasn't sure if this is just what happens after you do all of the main optional side quest, or if it's just after that one. But then there's this campfire scene. Did you see the campfire scene as well?
Yes.
Yeah, and then it's like you play as Luca for a little bit, and then Luca goes into her house, and there's like this terrible accident that's about to like happen to her mother, and then you continue to just see more and more of Luca and Robo's relationship to each other, and it really like genuinely made me care more about Luca and Robo. Like just the way that these side quests are like, I guess, constructed, it's like they're all focused on just like the characters who you know, gather in your party with you, which is so nice, because especially games that have you just like collecting party member after party member after party member, like even Final Fantasy VI does this thing where I'm blanking on the name. There's like a Yeti character that you get, and like and like the Mimic character. They're both like totally optional, but there's no backstory with either of them. There's like nothing.
Like, hey.
Yeah, there's nothing to either of them, and there's no side quest that you can do to like learn more about them. And that's just not the case here in this game. It's like every character has just so much depth, and thankfully, like these optional side quests give you, you know, everything that you need to learn about these characters. So the side quests are really good, in my opinion.
No, I agree. They're fun. I enjoy them a lot.
Yeah. And then the I guess just the overall kind of like look of the game. Like how do you feel about like the visuals?
I love the sprite work in this game. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. Like I have a really good soft spot for sprite work, and this game I think pulls it off very, very well, and I like it.
Yeah, okay. For this being one of the last games to come out on the Super Nintendo before the PlayStation came out, I really think it's the best looking Super Nintendo game. Like I just think there's no contest. Like I can't think of any other Super Nintendo game that looks better than this. And even if you like look at side by side comparisons between this and like Final Fantasy VI, like Final Fantasy VI, like don't get me wrong, it looks good for the Super Nintendo, but compared to this, holy shit, man! Like the sprite work in this game is like, I really think this is like the standard for just like sprites and just like these background like these huge vistas and like this epic scenery, especially if you're in like the 12,000 BC, the Dark Ages, whenever you see those like floating islands and like there's that like waterfall that like drips off of the floating island back into the ocean and stuff. Like all of it just looks beautiful. I cannot praise like the artwork of this game enough, you know?
No, yeah, definitely. It's very good.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about the gameplay and all that, and a little bit about the side quests and stuff like that. But I guess just kind of like, how did you feel about the story here? I guess if you were to like compare it to a game like Final Fantasy VI, like just because they kind of came out around that same era and stuff, like I guess kind of how do you...
I mean, it's kind of hard for me to compare because it's been so long since I played Final Fantasy VI.
Sure.
But, I mean, I enjoyed it. Like, I mean, it wasn't anything for me personally. It wasn't anything like super interesting in terms of just like, holy shit, whoa, what the fuck? But no crazy reactions from me. But
right.
I enjoyed it. Like, it was a very fun story. And I enjoyed, like we said, all the different side quests and learning more about the characters and stuff like that.
Yes.
I really like sort of Frog's rivalry with Magus.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. Yeah, no, it was a pretty fun story. I mean, honestly, I kind of like blanked out a lot of times whenever they were talking about the queen, the person who's like trying to revive Lavos.
Okay, yeah, I feel you with that one. I really wasn't a whole lot, like, I wasn't very interested in that whole side of the story for some reason. I don't know what it was.
I mean, the Mega stuff was interesting though.
Yes.
Whenever he was the villain at the time.
Yeah.
I was pretty interested in that. And like I mean, it makes sense now that I think about it, but I didn't even know that like Frog used to be a person, but they changed him into a frog.
Yeah, like those sort of revelations I think were some of the best parts of the story.
Yeah, definitely.
And like this kind of goes with the whole side quest portion, but like the things of the game that focus specifically on the characters themselves, I think are the best part of the story, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like Frog is such an amazing character. Even like Robo, just to kind of like
Robo's tight.
Just kind of like jump forward like from the beginning of the story. It's like once you go to that future era, you meet Robo for the first time, and you see other robots that are over there. But then they all kind of start telling you, oh, this robot is defective because it's not doing its job. And basically the people who programmed the robots were like, hey, like, you are to protect this base and, like, destroy anyone who comes in to, like, invade the place. So whenever they see, like, you, I guess, and, like, other monsters, they're just, like, trying to protect. But this robot doesn't want to just be violent for the sake of like being violent and stuff. And then there's this really sad scene where all of the other robots just start beating the living shit out of Robo. Just start kicking the hell out of him and stuff and punching him.
Yeah.
And like the whole time you're just watching it kind of happen. And like whenever you try to intervene, Robo's like, no, don't attack them. Like they're my brothers or whatever he says. And it's like, oh man, like that's harsh, Robo. Man. Yeah. But just like little stuff like that where it's just purely focusing on like the whole character aspect. And even later on with Robo, whenever you do his side quest in the future and you go through that dungeon and then you see the pink robot with like the bow on her head. And she's like trying to explain like why he is, she's just like trying to convince him of other things that he doesn't believe in and all this stuff. And you have this battle with her, just playing as Robo alone. And just like stuff like that where it really hones in on just the the single character side of things. Like Lavos is an interesting enough antagonist, you know, it's an interesting enough like plot point for you to kind of like go for like this main larger goal. Like you have like the big picture in mind, and the whole goal is to like stop Lavos from destroying the world in the future, which, you know, it's fine, that's interesting. But like how you were saying, like the whole stuff with like Magus or whatever is like that like personal rivalry that Frog has with him is like one of the really interesting antagonistic like stories in this game, right? But yeah, speaking of Lavos, let's just kind of like talk about kind of how this game like opens up. Like I don't want to do like a scene by scene dissection of this whole thing, but it opens up with, you know, main character Chrono wakes up, and there's the Millennium Fair happening, and it happens like, you know, I guess every millennium. And you go over there with your best friend Luca. Luca is your female like companion in the very beginning of the game, and she's super into building robots and into technology and stuff, and she's getting ready to unveil her like teleportation device where you can teleport one person to another place. But whenever they're at the Millennium Fair, things start going haywire, and it actually transports you through time. So that's kind of like where this whole story kind of starts, is like this whole idea of time travel, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Before all that happens, though, there's a really cool thing that happens with like choices that you can make. You meet Marl in the fair, and you don't know that she's the princess yet, but you know you can run into her, and then it has all these different things where it's like if you bump into her, and then you run to go pick up her pendant before you talk to her, then there's like a courtroom scene later on where they'll use all of that stuff against you. To like throw you in jail, where it's like, you should have talked to Marl first before you know, picked up the thing, or you should not have eaten the food at the fair, or else you know they'll use this against you. And there's just like such an abundant amount of options that kind of alter little lines and story beats in this game, which is another really interesting thing about the gameplay. It's just how many different endings there are and all that sort of thing, and how many different outcomes there are to certain things that you do. So anyways, Chrono goes back in time, and he ends up, I think it's 600 AD, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And the theme song that plays in the background is really one of my favorite video game songs of all time. The Wind Scene song. It's like da da. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. I love the way that all of those instruments just go together in that song. It's just like it sounds so whimsical. That's kind of like where this story starts picking up pace and all this stuff, and then later on, you travel even further in time, which is where you go to the year 2300 AD, and that's where you meet Robo. And then after the whole... I think in 600 AD, I'm pretty sure that's also where you meet Frog.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And so that's another really cool thing, was just kind of meeting Frog for the first time and hearing his theme song. Bro, Frog's theme song is so good. Yeah, so another thing too, since I guess just kind of talking about Frog and his theme song too, his whole like weapon is the Masamune, and there's that portion.
Fuck that boss.
Yeah, there's the portion in the game whenever you're going to fight, like you're going to like Magus' castle. You're like going to his castle, but then there's that like huge mountain in your way, and there's no way around it. And this is where they added one of the coolest cutscenes in the game. This is the cutscene that really dragged me in whenever I was first playing it a long time ago. But it's the scene where, Frog's theme start playing.
Oh, yeah.
And then he picks up his sword, and he basically just fucking cuts straight through the mountain and opens up this huge hole for you to walk into.
Hell yeah.
I guess modern, if you haven't played this game, it's like, or if you're into anime and you haven't played this game, it's very like similar to that sort of feeling of whenever the main character in Demon Slayer finally like cuts through the rock,
Oh, yeah.
It's like this high, like emotional moment where, Frog is like doing this thing. He's going after what he believes he needs to go after. All this stuff, it's just really cool the way that it happens. Yeah, that's easily one of my favorite scenes in the whole game. I feel like I'm just jumping around the story at so many times, but yeah, you eventually go to 65 million BC, and that's where you meet Isla and stuff, and there's this rivalry with between Frog and Magus, and then later on in the game, you have the option to like not fight him, and instead like y'all like talk essentially, and realize that you kind of have similar beliefs, you have similar goals in mind. And you have the option to like have him join your party, and he does the whole like shadow magic stuff, which is super cool. But Chrono is also such a very intriguing character because he is a silent protagonist.
Oh,
but at the same time, he has a lot of very like humorous moments, like just kind of in the actions that he makes, like with his face and like body movement and stuff like that. Like, I remember when I beat the game yesterday, there's a scene in the end. I don't know which ending you got, but in the ending that I got, they're about to, like, forever close this time portal, and then Chrono's mom runs through the time machine, and then it closes, and everyone's like, oh, but she's never gonna come back, and then Chrono just looks at the camera and does, like, this whole, like, yes, like pumping his fist sort of thing, and it's like, okay, bro. It's just funny. I mean, because it's not like she did anything wrong throughout the whole game. It's not like she was ever annoying. The only annoying thing that she does, I guess, is wakes you up before you wake up on your own, I guess. I don't know. Opening the blinds for you. I just think it's interesting because they're all pretty much dead set on traveling into the year, what is it, 1999? Yeah, they're 1999 is the year that Lavos comes. But Chrono and Marl and Luca are all from the year 1000. So realistically, they don't have to do this. They'll be they can live their whole lives, and their grandchildren and great-great-great-grandchildren can all live long, fulfilling lives without ever being affected by Lavos. But yet they still have this duty in their own hearts and minds of like, this is, we have to save the world. Which I think is just, I don't know. I feel like it speaks enough to their characters based on the other things that we see from them throughout the game. But it is interesting just to kind of like have that realization of like, they really don't have to be doing this. Like they're not doing it for themselves, They're doing it for everyone else. They go to the future. They see the destruction that Lavos causes. You go to the year of Robo in like 2300 AD, and you see people over there who have been completely destroyed by Lavos and just everything that it does to the earth. And later on, they can like plant plants, and for the first time ever see like sprouts growing and stuff. And I feel like that was probably one of the biggest kickoffs for the gang to realize this is why we have to do this. We can't let our future end up like this.
Definitely.
But yeah, I think all around, I think probably the only thing that I can complain about as far as just things that I did not like about the game was the that scene where you go to 2300 AD and you do that like racing thing.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's totally forgettable to me. Just kind of like I don't see why this had to happen in here. I just beat the game for the first time yesterday. I've played huge portions of this game in the past, just never got around to like finishing it. Yeah, no, I never saw it to the credits before, but I had always like gotten to the point where you get the epoch and you can do all the side quests and stuff. Basically just never beat the final boss. But it's always stayed as kind of one of my favorite games just because of how the whole time travel system works and how all the characters are and how the music is and stuff. I think even just from beating it for the first time completely yesterday, it was very clear for me to see that this game truly does hold up today.
Definitely, I agree.
Like there's not a like other than that one racing thing. Like I feel like if they were to remake this game, like how they would with Final Fantasy VII remake, I feel like that would be the one thing that they would look at and say, okay, we need to make some serious changes to this part. Everything else was pretty much perfect in my eyes. I don't know. Did you have any other opinions kind of on the whole story or things that you did not like about the game?
Well, things that I did not like, they're just small nitpicks. Like, only one part of the game that, I mean, for me, the racing thing, like, I thought it was fine. I mean, I can understand why it would feel sort of just out of place with how the game is. I get that. But for me, it was fine. But me, just more so the nitpicks, like, some of the bosses just pissed me off. Like, Masamune, as I casually mentioned, he was annoying. And also just the last boss, Lavos, I fucking hate him. Like, as soon as you fight him, he immediately does his like move that almost kills you. I hate that shit,
dude. That's why I never used a single elixir until that battle. I had so many mega elixirs and elixirs, so as soon as he would like drop that move on me, I would just immediately heal my whole party.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, not really anything huge that I can like criticize this game for. It's just a solid game for me. Like, it, as we said, it definitely holds up to this day, which is a good thing. Since the fact that it's been out since 1995 and the fact that it still holds up says a lot. Good game all around, I would say.
Yeah, and it's like, even I think this is another big reason why I appreciate pixel art so much too, is just the fact that like with this game's particular art style, there are so many amazing games that are out today and that are like being made today that have like pixel art style. And I think visually, like if this game were to just come out, I don't think that many people would see it as like being a super dated game. I think maybe some story aspects as far as like the main villain Lavos, I'm sure a lot of people would be like, it's not, it just seems like an old school kind of thing. I don't know. I just feel like how the gameplay is and all of the traveling through time and the music and the how it all looks, I don't think it would be too surprising if a brand new game were to come out like this, you know? Like from an indie developer.
Yeah, I could see that.
That pretty much does it as far as our like sort of review of this game. I mean, personally, I don't know if you want to put a score on it, but for me personally, this is like easily a 9.5 to like 10 out of 10 game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for me at least.
Hard to say. I guess just off the top of my head, probably an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. I think for me, it kind of like it would go down mostly due to the fact for me, I've just played so many fantastic games, you know? It's really easy for me in my head to like compare this to like what have I recently played, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I don't know. I also just feel like if I was like 14 or 15 years old in 1995 and I had only played whatever Super Nintendo games came out before this, I think I like this game a lot better than Final Fantasy VI. In my opinion,
honestly, I think I would too. Yeah. I think I would too, honestly.
Final Fantasy VI is a lot beefier as far as it's just like single story, but I think this game, even like with the remakes, there's like other stuff that you can do after the game, but there's so many different endings to this game. There's just a lot of replayability to this game. Whereas I think
That's true.
if you were to like start over Final Fantasy VI, there's not a whole lot different that you would do in each playthrough. It would always just be kind of going through the same like 30 to 40 hour long story each time. Whereas this is, I think for me, my playtime in this game, with my first time doing it and doing all of the side quests and stuff, it was about 33 hours. So it took me a little while to beat this game, but realistically, I could probably jump into this game and try to get a different ending and play it in about like 10 to 15 hours.
Yeah, this is a relatively short game. I mean, my playthrough, I'm looking at it right now, it took me 38 hours.
38 hours? Yeah. Yeah, I think I was mostly just also trying to like... Like I did like all like that optional stuff. I didn't play anything after I beat the game. But I think if you were to like look at this game on how long to beat, it's like an average first playthrough is like 20 hours, 21, 22 hours or something. But I think if you're just going through trying to do all the stuff, you can get you'll play this game for about the same amount of time as you would like a Super Nintendo Final Fantasy game,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of content there, and like on replays, you'll probably blow through it a lot faster. Especially whenever you know how like all of the map layouts are, and like what sort of like options you want to choose. But yeah, solid game. I'm glad I played it. I think it's a must play game. I think it realistically, I think if anyone has never played JRPGs or wants to like start getting into JRPGs, I really think that this is a phenomenal starting point. Yeah,
It's a solid JRPG, definitely.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. I guess before we go into our sort of like outro and all that, do you have any other closing thoughts?
No, just hey, go play Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, if you never played Chrono Trigger, do it.
Pussy.
This really was a game that has always been on my list to like finish, along with a couple of other ones that I've never finished yet. But this really is like a must play in my opinion. Like it's, I think at the time it was more groundbreaking than it is today, but that doesn't change the fact that it's still a phenomenally fun JRPG to play, especially with what DJ was saying about like random encounters. Like if you're not a fan of random encounters, great, you'll probably like this game a lot. If you like good sprite work, if you like good music, if you like good characters, you'll enjoy this game a lot. Yeah, I guess before we get out of here, just want to remind everyone that you can answer the question of the week. That question again is just kind of like, who are your favorite characters in Chrono Trigger? What is your Chrono Trigger dream team? Like if you were to have it in your party, like who's your dream team? Which 3 characters would you pick? Just kind of that sort of general favorite characters in the game. It can be anything, even if it's just one character, or if you want to give an explanation for why you love all, 7 or 8 characters, I can't remember. But yeah, you can do that. You can answer the question by commenting on the YouTube channel. You can join our Discord. We always have the link in the podcast description and the YouTube descriptions. Yeah, come join our Discord. We got question of the week threads. We got, anime and manga stuff. I saw DJ and Harrison Ford were talking about One Piece. So that's pretty cool. It was nice for me to see that there is just conversation happening in our Discord.
Definitely.
Yeah, we got Kingdom Hearts discussion, Final Fantasy discussion, Falcom games discussion. We got memes. Blow all that stuff up, guys. I mean, we love to see you all there.
Blow it up.
You can email questions, or if we got some things wrong or anything, you can either comment at us or send us messages in Discord, or you can email us at overleveledpodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can make your own YouTube video talking about how much Overleveled podcast sucks. Title it Overleveled Podcast Sucks, and it's like an hour-long video of you just shitting on us.
Yeah, if you want to make a 1 hour long single-person podcast about you just shitting on us, I mean, I don't want to
Show you
encourage
like.
it, but I mean,
I don't
do
encourage
you?
it, but
I
mean,
guess.
if you do it, yeah.
DJ. DJ has a podcast too called The Ramen Stand, right? That's what it's called, right?
Yes, I do. Yep. If you like anime, come on, check us down at the Ramen Stand. We just recently did our latest episode talking about the second half of Jujutsu Kaisen. Really fucking good shit. So if you like anime, come on down.
Nice. DJ's also got his his main channel that he does his sort of I guess you do like a multitude of content. I was gonna say it's your like anime analysis channel, but I think you do more than just that.
Yes, my channel is, well, I mean, it is mostly anime, but it's a comedic review channel where I talk about different anime, movies, and video games that I make fun of. But I also, on the side, like to do something a little bit different related to one of those topics.
Yeah. If you're a fan of, like, JonTron, or, like, old school JonTron, you'll like DJ's channel.
Yep. It's pretty much what it is.
Yeah. But it's good. It's, like, it's good to see that sort of content still alive, because it's good shit. So, yeah, go follow DJ. What is it called again? Mushroom Man?
Mushroom Man.
Mushroom Man. Name subject to change.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, go ahead if you want to leave a short little review for us, this podcast on Apple Podcast. We're on Apple Podcast as well, and that is a huge that's a huge way that you can help us grow more and reach more audience ears and stuff, is by leaving us a 5-star review. Or leave us a 1-star. Don't do that. But yeah, follow us on Spotify, Pocket Cast, Apple, blah, blah, blah. We also have a Patreon. It's just kind of there if you want to show support monetarily. It's completely optional. Currently, there's nothing in there like special for you. Maybe one day in the future there will be, but that's an option too if you just want to help support this channel and help it grow. You got anything else, DJ, or are we good?
Not at all. I think we are solid.
Cool. All right, man. Well, I will talk to you later, I guess.
Okay.
All
right.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Do you want to say the Girl Scout
Goodbye.
thing?
Girl Scout, bye.